any virus, it is always, remember this, folks, it was always going to settle on the most vulnerable. In the end of the day, no matter where it starts, no matter who gets it because they're jet setting or they're cruising on ships or they're going spring break, maybe those people are vectors in the beginning. But in the end, they will always settle into the most vulnerable populations. And in this case, it's Black people.
Which is what you said about that heat-seeking missile. I compared it to sweeping something under the rug. At some point, the lump under the rug will make you tumble. And we are seeing that here.
And you were pointing out those kind of what they call comorbidity, those pre-existing conditions that are particular to vulnerable people in this country. And they intersect directly with race and poverty, lack of health care. All of those things intersect. So some people say, well, no, it's really a class issue, not a race issue. Well, I'm willing to nominate whoever is able to detangle race and poverty in America for a Nobel Peace Prize, because it cannot be done.
Okay, is that a fair assessment though? I ask you that because you and I both know, you're journalists, we've traveled the Appalachians, rural parts of the South where I am from as well. Lady Gaga brought up something and I thought this was interesting and I wanted to ask you. She said while promoting this relief concert, she questioned people saying we're all in this together, because as she said, the reality is that the recovery will be very different for millions of people. So when you look at the disproportionate number of African Americans affected by this, no health care, jobs that you cannot do. We're on a conference video. I was bothered early on, to be honest with you, when everyone said panic buying. Well, if you don't have the money to buy, you cannot panic buy. So is it race or is it privilege in your view?
Well, I just believe in America, we have, since the beginning, tangled the two, and therefore I can't untangle them. The reasons that people have these pre-existing conditions, it's not really a mistake. If you live in a ghetto, ghettos didn't spring up organically. We created ghettos in America. If you live in a food desert, those things are not organic. That is a creation. It is almost a design. If you have drastic income inequality, that is not a mistake. That is a design. So, and a lot of that, it was all up until 50 years ago, overtly in policy. Like the wording was still in the policy. Now we call it systemic racism because you have racism without overt racism. You don't have to write the words into the policy, but they still have the disproportionate effect. So it's really hard for me to say, oh, that's just a class issue, because we created racial class disparities.
So when we say social distancing is a privilege, does that automatically then envelop the race issue? Again, going back to this luxury that we have to both be inside of our homes, which you write about in your piece. People don't have the luxury. You still have people taking public transportation. I just looked out my window and saw a Domino's delivery guy deliver a pizza, no mask, no gloves. He is working because he has to. He was of color. And you think about these things, he doesn't have that option. And we're talking in a bubble as a society when we say things like, stay home and work, video conference.
Right. Or when they say, and their intentions are good, by the way.
Yeah,
when they say, this is the one thing that each of us can control. Actually, that's not true. Only 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 Black people and 1 in 6 Hispanics have the option to work from home. That's it. Every one of those other people have to make a choice. Do I go out and risk it? Or do I stay home and risk starvation? Like, those are the choices. Your relationship to fear, panic, and survival is different. If you have always felt that your life was under existential threat, either from hunger or police or violence or drug, whatever, panic itself becomes a privilege afforded to those who don't have to panic often, right? If you literally live with an ambient panic, then your relationship to fear is different. Your relationship to threat is different.